Welcome to It's Time, an in-depth look at understanding the importance of succession planning for your automotive business. It's Time is presented by Standard. Now, here's your host, Doug Kaufman.
Mark Zuckerberg, CEO of Facebook, says, I think as a company, if you can get these two things right, having a clear direction on what you're trying to do and bringing in great people who can execute on that stuff, then you can do pretty well. Hi again, everybody. I'm Doug Kaufman. I'm editor of ShopOwner magazine, and I'd like to welcome you back to It's Time, our 6-part succession planning series sponsored by Standard. You know, so many times shops go through the process of just working every day, working hard to get through the end of the day, that they never really think about what's going to come next until it's too late. Well, here at ShopOwner and with Standard's help, we're hoping to change that. Today, I'm happy to be joined by Jon Corb from Corb's Auto Repair in Cypress, Texas. Today, we're going to be talking about something that it could be maybe a little ethereal or a little hard to pin down, but it's a very important part of making sure that your shop is ready when it's time to move on. A winning culture, how processes and procedures will ease the transition. Jon, good morning. Thanks for joining us. Welcome to It's Time.
Good morning. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Our pleasure. Now, there are a million different motivational signs you can put up at your shop to help encourage your employees on a day-to-day basis. Mark Zuckerberg's quote is one of them. There's hundreds of motivational speeches and motivational quotes about how you can build a good culture and what that means. But if you don't follow through on that and you don't really develop that culture, it doesn't really mean anything. Let's talk about your perspective and how your shop's culture can make your shop attractive to potential buyers. If you would, Jon, talk to us about your shop's culture.
Sure. Well, as far as my shop's culture on it, kind of like you said, you can have a whole lot of posters on the wall on it, quotes, everything like that. But to me, when I think about culture, it really comes down to a reflection of leadership on it, and how you treat people on it. Because the way you treat people, that's the way that they're going to start mimicking or being like you in that, and that's how they're going to treat the rest of the team members in the shop.
It's really important, the leadership. You've got to exemplify that culture first, right?
Absolutely. I mean, being a servant leader, getting out there, getting dirty with them, being able to show them what it's like to be that leader on it, and going in there, and whenever things are hard, that's whenever your true culture shows through. It's not when everything's going good, but it's when things are wrong, when those questionable times occur on it, that are you going to make the right call? Are you going to do the right thing in the end?
So developing that culture, where does it start?
In my mind, it starts pretty much at the thought of starting a business, So it is, to me, the core of who you actually are on that. And that's getting developed from all of the years of the other jobs, the different experiences that you've had on it, that in turns is becoming who you are on that. And then that's going to reflect out in the way that you operate and the way that you handle those problems throughout the day.
Here we go back to another quote. Brittany Forsyth, Vice President of Human Relations at Shopify, said, determine what behaviors and beliefs you value as a company. That comes from you, the leader, and have everyone live true to them. These behaviors and beliefs should be so essential to your core that you don't even think of it as a culture. And that's an interesting point, is when you're not trying to develop a culture, it just is part of who you are.
I couldn't agree with that more on it. In preparing for this on it, That's kind of was exactly my thoughts on it. It's like culture. I didn't really know that I was creating a culture on it. But then when you start looking around you on it and you're seeing, wow, that person was a lot different whenever they first started here on it. And now look at them. They're helping out in the shop on it. They're going that extra mile for customers on it. It actually starts changing and reflecting on them. But like you said, if you don't go into it with it being at the core of who you are on it, it's just going to be, words on a poster on it. And that's going to be all that it is. And you're not going to ever get that change and that expectation that you have.
Standard 100% all new, never remanufactured electronic throttle bodies. Design improvements with upgraded gear trains for reliability. End of line tested and calibrated. What's in your box?
You mentioned that the development of a culture starts really with the development of the company, and that's one of the points that we've been talking about during this entire succession planning series, is the importance of starting to look down the road as early as possible. What are your goals? What are your plans for the company long term, even beyond your time? And that starts at the beginning as well. Those two things have to go hand in hand.
Yeah, they really do on it. If you want your legacy to live on in the company on it, and whenever you sell and you pass on that to the next owner on it, it still has your name. It still has all your blood, sweat, and tears on it. And if you're not there and you haven't invested in that team to be able to have those core beliefs that you have, then it's all going to go to wash. The person who's buying it's not going to be successful on it. And they're going to say, well, what happened? What happened to it? And so it's almost that, your staff and your team, once they have those core beliefs and they are who they are, it's going to run with it no matter who that owner is, unless that owner comes in and starts bringing in things that are contrary to the shop's culture,
Sure. Jon, would you walk us through maybe if you can identify some of the key points within your shop's culture? What makes Corb Auto Repair a successful business?
I would think the number one thing on it would be that we really truly care about people on it. My staff are like family members to me. And when I stay up late at night, I'm not thinking about how my bills are going to be paid. I'm truly thinking about, I just hope we have enough work tomorrow for everyone else on it. I want to make sure that everybody's taken care of at the end of the day on it, and I'm taking care of last. And at the point, whenever your staff sees that on it and they truly, really believe it because of your actions that you take during those hard times on it, they start stepping up and they start caring about you. They start caring about performing their jobs to the best that they can, because the shop really becomes more than a job. It becomes more of a family, and you're really looking out for each other. And that would be the number one thing. And then with all of that, if you're going to have a good functioning family, you've got to have honesty in between each other on it. And that you're being honest with each other about what can happen and what can't happen on that. And then, you have to be able to trust each other that when things go wrong, that we're going to have extreme ownership and we're going to take responsibility for the things that we do. And we're just going to fix it together as a team on it. It's not singling someone out and making them feel that, it's all their fault on it. It's, we're all in this together and we're going to get through it together.
That's a great point. We're all in this together. Obviously, as the owner, you have the idea of what you want your shop to be, what you want that culture to be. And that is formed from your history, your past, your own cultural development. But when do you need to get out of your own way and overcoming your own blind spots about what should and shouldn't be encouraged?
I'm in that season right now of trying to figure out where that is, of getting it out of your own way on that. And so I can say that honestly, a lot of my family members, even some of my real close team members, like my manager, he can see that you get overloaded on it. And almost taking too much responsibility, and it takes those people around you to kind of say, you need to step back, you need to look at this as a whole and really kind of reflect on where you're going with this on it, and are you making the best decisions for your team? Because sometimes when you get into the trenches, you really see you lose sight of the big picture on it, and you're so consumed by the daily stuff on it that you gotta step back and look at the whole.
Blue Streak by Standard VVT solenoids. Stronger steel internal shafts for durability. Welded stainless steel oil screens for better oil flow. Industry-leading coverage. What's in your box?
There's another, one of the other leaders at Facebook said, true leadership stems from individuality that is honestly and sometimes imperfectly expressed. Leaders should strive for authenticity over perfection. That's got to be tough as the leader of a shop to be able to say, "Boy, I was wrong there."
I have been very blessed that personally I have been just naturally quick to be able to do that on it. I know that is not normal, but even between my wife and I'm the first one to say I messed up on it, and I've been very blessed with that characteristic on it that personally has not been a problem for me on it. And one of a quote that I heard on it is that problems don't break me, they make me on it. And with that, whenever you get into those situations on it and you do mess up, right? Well, the last thing that they're expecting from you is to come and apologize first, even if you didn't start the problem on it. And whenever you do, and you go in there and you meet that head on and you say, you know what, I messed up. And honestly, I really want everyone in the shop to know that I messed up on it, because I'm not perfect. And I want them to be able to see how I'm going to handle problems when things do go wrong in that. And so when you do that, you're in turn building that relationship, which you could then say that's the culture of the company, right? It comes back full circle.
Yeah. Jon, you're a very young man. You're not probably even thinking about passing your business on or moving out of the role yet. But if you were, hypothetically, what would you say as a closing thought? Where do you see the culture of your business helping to make it more attractive?
I think that's something that would really get overlooked unless you are a very experienced buyer, right? Because you're looking at numbers, you're looking at the financial side of it on it. But, if you don't have a team that works well together on it, if you don't have that positive culture, then, you're going to take over that business and they're just going to split on it. They're not going to be invested into the company. They're not going to be invested to their other team members on it. And so that, number one, just the retention on it and the engagement that they want to be loyal and they're going to stick around on it. And then in that leads to, well, at that point, if they're all staying together and they're all wanting to work well, then you're going to have a much better financial performance, right? And then along with that, if you're doing well, you're going to have much better brand reputation on it. And so the brand is going to show well on it. And that's what buyers are going to, an experienced buyer is going to be looking for.
Great stuff. Jon Corb from Corb Auto Repair in Cypress, Texas. Thank you very much for helping us kind of pin down the clouds of, it's easy to say you've got to have your financial plan in place. You've got to have your, the various equipment's got to be what it is. You need to have your legalities ready to go. But when you're trying to pin down the role that culture plays in succession planning, it can be a lot more difficult to understand. And we really appreciate you helping to clarify those for us today.
I appreciate the opportunity to be here. Really enjoyed it.
Thank you. Remember, this is a 6-part series on succession planning sponsored by Standard that's going to help you make sure your business is ready when you are ready to leave it. Throughout this series, we're addressing many different topics to help your business continue to be a benefit to your community long after you're gone. You can find our previous conversations at shopownermag.com. Thanks to Standard for sponsoring these discussions. Thanks to Jon Corb for joining me today. Thanks to you for listening. We'll talk again soon. Take care, everybody.
Thanks for watching. For more information on succession planning, visit shopownermag.com. There, you'll find resources and links designed to help guide you on the road ahead. Learn more about our sponsor, Standard, by visiting standardbrand.com.